open it up for our folks, talking a little bit about the performance at Colorado over the weekend, and then what your team's looking forward to this weekend with UCLA here for Family Weekend.
Yes, I was proud of the way the guys kept their poise in the first Pac-12 road game we had. A big crowd. They were into it. It was a new environment for a lot of our young guys, and we didn't play great all the time, but we played hard, and they kept battling and did just enough to win the game. So it was a good win, and certainly our guys know how important this game is coming up, and we haven't played well really in any year against these guys. And I think our guys are anxious to try to put on a better performance against a really talented UCLA team.
Against Colorado, you had a heck of a game. I mean, the offense had no penalties. You managed the clock really well, made all the correct calls on fourth down. The play calling kept Colorado off balance. The quarterback's in a position to succeed. The wide receivers are out there blocking. But on defense, was it a situation of the team getting worn down, or were they out physical?
Well, I think we played hard. I don't know if we got out physicaled, but we certainly didn't play well. We didn't do a good job of getting off blocks or holding our gaps or tackling particularly well at times, and it was a struggle. I could tell it, from the second quarter or the end of second quarter on, and we were struggling, and we had to play a clean game offensively. I think we had 10 possessions, had 7 scores, 1 punt, one turnover, and then killed the clock at the end, and we needed that because we were just struggling, and we were trying everything defensively and rolling a lot of guys in and out of there, but there's certainly a lot of things we got to get fixed. But offensively, with Khalil made some huge plays, certainly. I think you mentioned the one thing that was overlooked was probably our downfield blocking from our wideouts. Really selfless. They did a great job, and we needed every bit of it. So we, certainly going forward, we got to play better defensively than offensively. There's still some things we can clean up, but just a win is a good win, particularly when you play as poorly as we did on defense.
What does that win do emotionally for the team in terms of getting up for the next one or beyond? Yeah,
I think you always talk about it after 24 hours you move on. I really think these guys have taken that to heart. But the confidence, particularly for younger guys, winning is a lot better for confidence. I think older guys know how to handle it more, but it certainly should give us some confidence. Colorado's, a good football team, and they're going to win some games. But winning, there's nothing like winning, and it's also as a coach, you much rather teach corrections after a win than after a loss. You got to teach them either way. But we got a lot of stuff we got to get corrected, and a lot of things as coaches we got to go back and look at in all 3 phases to get better.
Rich, Khalil in the past it seemed to run to contact, where in this game he ran away from it. How did you kind of hammer that point home to him that he needs to take less hits than he would take?
We even mentioned to him and all the quarterbacks back in camp that they have the ability to make somebody miss, and that's as fast as I've seen Khalil run. He's we were talking about today when watching film. I think he's about 15 to 20 pounds lighter than he was last year, so he's in better shape and he's running a little faster, and he's got to continue that. All our quarterbacks are about running smart, and there was even the one time that he broke open that he probably could have kept running if he'd have trusted his speed, and he made some moves and still got in there. But he's a very athletic guy, and he's got I thought what he did well, both in the few times we passed the ball and when he ran, was he saw the field exceptionally well. He's always been pretty good at that, but this was the best I've seen him in practice or the games as far as seeing the field, and it led to a big-time performance.
Steven Montez had a couple opportunities to hit plays behind the secondary, overthrow a lot of his own receivers. What concerns do you have going in against a better quarterback in Josh Rosen?
Well, yeah, and Steven was an outstanding quarterback, and they got some really good wideouts. We just didn't put enough pressure on the quarterback. We didn't get enough penetration in the run game, and we were sending pressures, a lot of 5-man pressures, that weren't getting close. And we've got to really work on that part of it, because if we don't, then Rosen obviously will pick us apart. So we've got to get better in our pressure, but we also got to do a better job of holding some things down the field. I thought our corners played solid. I just didn't think we did a really good job of our blitzes and getting home.
What can you say about Khalil's patience?
Yeah, he's got more than I got. He's but he's, he did, again, I think it's a matter of seeing the field. And there are a couple times when he hit it pretty good, but he's a strong runner too. I mean, he very rarely you see him that the one arm will get him down. He runs strong, but like I said, his speed and his acceleration when he did see a hole was the best I've seen him. And I was proud of the way, as sometimes you look at your backups, you worry about them being as good a shape as the starters, but and even with the so-called high elevation, some of the long runs, I know he was tired or gassed after he scored, but it was, he recovered pretty quickly. So.
Both you and Colorado use that offensive set where you clap to initiate this snap. At what point can you still change the play? Can the play still be altered or audible after the clap?
Oh, even if there was more to it than that, I would never say. It's like, why would I tell you this? Not that I don't, I think there's some big secret or something like that. It's just there's a lot of different ways, and we have 2 or 3 different ways to initiate the snap of the ball or the cadence. Verbal cadence, a silent cadence, and for this game we had practiced a couple different ways because of the crowd noise. But for whatever reason, a lot of time a clap, even with the loudest crowd noise, people can hear that. There just must be something about it. So we actually shifted to that, this year, and along with some of the other ways we've done in the past, and that's been the simplest for us to do.
Did you see something like this coming, whether it be with Tate or Dawkins, that your offense could finally maybe find a spot there where it could maybe show what it can do?
Well, I've been fortunate to have several quarterbacks that have broken out and had big rushing games, and I've always said we're going to play with 11. You sometimes when you're nervous when your quarterback runs, but if he can run away from people or run intelligently and not take too many hits, you can do what Khalil did on Saturday night. But our offense has really been built for several years now about playing with 11 and making them defend everybody. And certainly I know this, it wasn't just this. I'm sure even going into the game, whether it's Brandon, whoever, are going to make sure the quarterback is part of their run game, and got to make sure they have a guy assigned to them.
Was the reason the running backs weren't able to break open big runs like Khalil did because of the way they were playing you guys, or? Yeah,
a little bit. Yeah, they were bringing everybody down. We were running against the numbers, so to speak, at a lot of times, and that was one reason why I think we got that big pass at the end. But I thought, and I've mentioned a couple of times today, that our wide receivers did a phenomenal job of working downfield and making some blocks. Sometimes they were just running guys off in man coverage, but sometimes they were doing a great job in blocking. It's a selfless group, and they take a lot of pride in that.
What is it about UCLA that's given you guys fits? I know one year they did a bunch of fake punts and field goals, and another year they took a guy and put him out of position with Miles Jack. What does UCLA do that?
Yeah, with Miles Jack, you could put him anywhere, and he'd had a big game. But we haven't played well, and certainly they've got good players. I mean, you can see who they got now and who they've had, and where they're playing in the NFL. And their coaching staff I think, does an outstanding job. But and I don't think it's because we've pressed or we've talked about it a lot. We just have not. It's probably about every year. It's a game like, golly, we didn't play well in the UCLA game. Didn't play well in the UCLA game, and so it's been frustrating a little bit. But and I've mentioned it briefly to the team, but those are all in the past now. We have so many new guys. A lot of new guys. Our guys haven't played against them, so it's not really fair to compare the past. But as a coach, it's been frustrating that we haven't played well against them, and they've had something to do with that, certainly.
What is it about Josh Rosen that makes him so tough? You said before that they're always in the game with him.
Yeah, if you have a quarterback that can throw, and he's an intelligent guy like he is, and can make all the throws, and athletic too. I mean, he'll make subtle movements in the pocket to buy an extra half second to throw the ball down the field. You're never out of a game. You saw that earlier. I mean, there's no question he's a top NFL draft pick. I've been impressed with his toughness. Obviously, you hear about his intelligence and his football knowledge as well. And a guy that can throw like that, and a guy that can understand football like that, is always going to give you a shot. And they do with him. I wish he was already gone, but he's there at least for another half a year, and just a great player.
How impressed were you with Khalil's decision-making with the passes, 12 and 13?
Yeah, he was. Some of the passes were were easy, just run adjustment things. But you know, the deep ball he threw at the end was great touch. But I thought his decision making, again, with our quarterbacks in the run game, there's a lot of decisions to make. I thought his decision making there was really sharp. And he was very, very composed throughout the whole game. He was seeing everything. As I said, he saw the field well. When he came out the sidelines, we talked a little bit about what they're doing. He already saw it. So for a guy that hadn't played a whole lot, he'd played some, but hadn't played a whole lot, I was really impressed with how he's composed out there and how he handled it like a veteran.
The ball downfield to Ellison. Was that his initial read on that play? Did he check to that throw?
Yeah, it was just a three-man route. It was, you know, they were bringing, as I said, they were bringing everybody up in there, and we wanted to take a shot and with a little play action deep ball, and you know, the two deep options we both thought were both open, but the throw he made, and somebody had mentioned before, boy, they didn't realize he had so much touch because he does have a strong arm, and he could throw it 75, 80 yards, I think, but he's, for a guy that has that strong of an arm, he's always had good touch. It's just a matter of him to continue to grow in our offense as with the other quarterbacks. So, but he did. He was accurate, and again, his vision was really, really, really good for a guy who hadn't played a whole lot.
You might have said this before, but you've had Pat White, you've had Denard Robinson. Where does Khalil's performance rank out of your entire time coaching?
Well, that single game performance was probably as close to. I think Denard had one game against Notre Dame where he had a couple hundred rushing, couple hundred passing, and then Pat White had some unbelievable games. You know, Khalil may tell you he's as fast as him. I don't think he is, but he can run pretty good. But it was certainly a dominating performance and came at the right time.
Ran it so well against Colorado. Did that contribute to his 12 of 13 passing, and that Colorado had to be more conscious of him running and opened up some
Oh yeah, and they were putting everybody in there. So you know, we probably could have thrown even more and had some completions. But you know, I was also trying to be, even when we were running a little bit toward the end of the game in the fourth quarter, I was like, okay, we're going to run and take some time off the clock and give our defense a rest. And he scores on some big plays so quickly that our defense wound up going back out there pretty fast. But I'll take that anytime. You know, the long runs. We were doing anything we can, to try to help our defense out a little bit. But we were scoring quickly. But thank God we were, because we weren't stopping them.
What's impressed you most about Tony Fields 5 games in?
Well, that he's a true freshman, that he acts like he's been there before, and everything, we could clean up a lot of stuff and need to defensively, but he's active and he keeps playing hard. And the rest of those guys are too. It's not just a freshman, but when you look at Schooler and Wilborn and Tony Fields and Anthony Pandy, all those young linebackers that are playing as true freshmen, they're growing up. Even though sometimes there's some growing pains with it, I can see him growing up as the season goes along. And there's some technique and fundamental things that we know that we got to continue to push on them, because as a freshman, they're still learning how to play big-time football.
Coach, what's it mean for the program as a whole to see Khalil Tate named the National Player of the Week in so many outlets? Yeah,
I did. And Blair told me I didn't realize all that. And that's good. It's not going to change him or change who we are, but I also think it's kind of neat for guys to get recognition in your program. It brings some recognition to him and his family, but certainly to our program too. And that's all a fun deal. If I was worried that it would change a guy or something, I'd sit down and talk to him. But I don't think we have anybody that would change, and it's certainly not Khalil. So I think it's a fun thing for the school, but more importantly, it's a neat thing for the guy individually.
How big was it for Scotty Young, everything that he's been with in the past week, to come out and just kind of have the game that he had?
Yeah, I thought I don't know if anybody defensively played particularly well, but Scotty plays really hard, and he was pretty focused all week. He went through some things, as we know, but it was determined he was going to play, and he plays really hard. Scotty's he's going to be a really good player too, and football is important to him.
Rich, with Khalil on some of those zone reads where it looked like, the first option wasn't there and then he just kind of improvised, is that pretty much just all him, or are there checks in the run game where if he wants to go a certain way and it's not there, that you tell him?
Well, some of those weren't reads. Some of those were designed quarterback runs without a read at all, and some of them were zone reads. I thought his decision-making in the reads were pretty good, but there were times even with that, because of them bringing out numbers and playing cover zero, that even if he made the right read, he was probably going to have to make somebody miss to make a big play. Maybe not, he can make 5 yards, but to make it more than that, he was going to have to make somebody miss. And he, even I think we were not surprised, but say, oh, he made a couple moves we hadn't seen yet. So he was running with an extra purpose. And like I said, we got some really good downfield blocking. And when you play man coverage a lot, which they were doing, a lot of times you're running people out of the way when you're spreading out with your offense anyway.
You got an example of one of the moves he made that you hadn't seen yet that surprised you?
Well, he made one, which is, the guys always like a good time when the duo, I call it the Allen Iverson crossover. He did the AI crossover on the open field, and just the guy had him right square to square, a good football player, and made a quick move, on a crossover, which will probably be on our highlight film for the next game probably.
Hey, Rich, when you have a running quarterback, do you think that defenses are more willing to take shots on guys when they get to the sideline like we saw on Brandon?
No, I don't think so. I mean, their sidelines are so tight, and but I agreed with the penalty. I think it was a penalty. Sometimes guys get maybe to your point, they'll get a little frustrated, or when the quarterback is running, their eyes will get a little bit bigger, like, man, this guy is a chance to put a hit on the quarterback, because everybody wants to put hits on the quarterback. But quarterbacks, as I said, they get smart. We always say, as I said before, touchdown, first down, get down. But if you can get off the sidelines too without taking a hit, you want to do that. Sometimes that gets frustrating for defenders.
You talked about the confidence within the team not really being affected too much, too high or too low, but are you hoping that this kind of energizes the fan base and they come out and support the team a little bit more?
Oh, sure. I hope so. I think this is family weekend, right? That should bring a few more folks in there, and obviously we're going to have a great weather. It should be a great atmosphere, so I hope we have a good crowd and the student section will be into it, because it can help us. I mean, certainly playing at home, when your fans are into it and being loud and making it tough on them, it can have a great impact for you.
This might be a dumb question, but does it energize you at all? Maybe.
Oh, I think everyone energizes everybody. I think you try to, as a coach, like I said, it's probably easier to be tougher on your guys after a win than a loss, but we kind of coach them the same way all the time. And I think our guys saw after, with last night's practice, hey, it's, let's correct what we're doing. It's time to move on. And I think our guys are mature enough to handle that and understand that.
You guys had 2 penalties for 10 yards. They had 12 penalties for 110 yards. How big of a factor is that in a game, and how much of an emphasis do you place on, just playing a clean game, avoiding those penalties?
Yeah, playing smart and playing a clean game. And I thought the 2 penalties were the 2 on defensive illegal procedure or what have you, saying we were not allowed to stem, and I wasn't sure about those. I got to get clarification. Those were the only 2 penalties we had, and we needed it. And if you look at the game, the way the game ended, we had to have a clean game. We had the 1 turnover when we were going in, and then the two penalties on that defensive procedure or whatever. So other than that, we played a clean game, and it was one. If we didn't, we wouldn't have won. So we've played other clean games. I can always go back to the Oregon game back in when B.J. Denker played Oregon at home. It was the same kind of deal. We had a really clean game, no turnovers, and needed that as well. This was no different than that.
That fumble by Shun, can you explain what the ruling is there?
Yeah, it said his hand was down, not his elbow. And so I guess if the hand being down is obviously not down, the ball was loose. And Shun's usually does a great job taking care of the ball. And the elbow wasn't determined. I guess it was on replay that the elbow or the knee was not down. So I couldn't. And on film, it didn't look like his. I didn't know if the back of the wrist. What is I guess the proper is the back of the wrist, the hand or the forearm. But you couldn't really tell clearly. But it didn't look like his knee or his elbow was down when the ball was kind of juggling a little bit.
UCLA is a highly penalized team. When you look at an opponent, their strengths and weaknesses, do you look at their tendency to commit penalties?
Not really. That's usually I don't look at it hardly at all. I mean, I don't think it affects one thing you're going to do game plan wise or preparation wise. You got to make sure, if there's a lot of chippiness going on, that's one thing you got to warn your guys about that. And I think we have so many guys that know their guys and from Southern California, we got to warn them about anyway. Listen, I want you to be emotional, but not to be silly. You know, play football with the right kind of emotion, and not to do stuff that would hurt your team. But other than that, there's not really much we'll look at for that regard.
I'm sure you don't know all the behind-the-scenes details of what happened, but what was your reaction to hearing that Gary Anderson left?
Yeah, I just heard coming in. You know, I think Gary's a heck of a football coach. I'm a little surprised at anything that happens at this point in the season, but you know, college football and Division I college football and pro football, it's kind of a wild profession at times.
Chris Peterson kind of made a big to-do about night games. It's a subject that we've talked about before. Obviously, do you have any thoughts on what he was saying, or what's your overall perspective?
Yeah, I agreed with what he's saying. I think all coaches, I've said it before with you guys, that I don't think there's much we do about it, because we got to be appreciative of the finances that each school gets because of the TV revenue. But it also seems like, you know, when you're playing every game, I don't know if anybody plays more later games than we do throughout the course of a season. Rarely do we even have any day games at any time. So it's hard, you know, as a coach, you want to get up and play. I'm not sure the players mind one way or another, but that's the way it is right now. And as long as we're getting paid the TV money, I guess it's going to continue to be that way. But it's frustrating at times if you think, like, you know, maybe our Pac-12 network games or something could be earlier, or instead of playing to 8, could we play at 6 instead of 8, which was better for us, because you get back so late on the road games. But it is I think from a staff standpoint, it gets frustrating when you're always playing at night, but that's the league where it is right now. I think it's as frustrating. I think what Coach Pete was saying, which I agree with, it's as frustrating for the fans a lot of times, both home and on the road, that the games are so late, and it's, you know, they have to stay another night in a hotel, or they have to get back late as well. So everything is different now with the TV than it used to be.
Anything else for Coach? Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.